tracing over with graphite to refine the lines. It's a little bit difficult to see because the light is reflecting off the graphite. But just sketching over the thumbnail to make sure I have it drawn the way I want it. And then once I was satisfied with it, I inked it, which I rarely do on camera just because my hand covers so much when I'm inking, and I prefer to ink off camera anyway. So those are what the inks look like, and so now it's ready to color. So I'm coloring with my Copics, and like I mentioned, I planned out the colors in Photoshop. And I did add a few more colors into this one compared to the original. I decided I wanted to stick to the idea of having soft yellow light, but with this one I actually planned that in advance and laid that down first, because with the other picture it was kind of an afterthought, and then I was trying to add back in the yellow later. In some areas the yellow just did not want to take, so this time I mapped out some yellow spots first and went in and started coloring. So for the black areas, I never actually used black. The darkest color I used was warm gray number 9. And for the black areas, I used all warm grays. And then for the red areas, I used my R46 and my R89. And then for the shadows, I actually used a brown. Usually when I'm shading red, purple's a good choice, but I didn't want any purple in this picture, so I went with the brown to really deepen it, because I feel like even my darkest reds aren't that dark, so the brown was E18. And a little bit more about the character concept, because it's a little different from the first one. I kept the wilted flowers, so on his neck/chest piece, there are wilted flowers dangling from it and from the ends of his hat. And so I just thought wilted, because it's a pretty evil picture, it makes sense for them to be wilted. And sticking with the evil theme, I wanted the horns of his hat to be very angular instead of round. And then, as I mentioned previously, making his face like a mask instead of his actual face. So I did the really pointy smile with the sharp, sharp teeth, super angry looking, well, more not really angry, but evil looking eyebrows that are really raised. Oh, little Kiki, my little assistant. And I decided to go with a diamond pattern over the eyes. And here's where I was incorporating some other colors different from the first piece. I decided why not add in some muted green and actually use the muted yellow throughout as well. Because I have a goldy color that I use for the wilted flowers and the hand, but I decided to incorporate more of that pale yellow light on the other flowers and on his teeth, and then green on the eyes and on his boots and the cuffs of his shirt. So I feel like that was a good way to make it a little more interesting. I was a little scared adding in another color because I liked my red and black color scheme, but planning it out in Photoshop really helped me decide to go for it. And you don't need to do that in Photoshop. Sometimes I just quickly sketch up little miniature versions of the drawing, or I'll scan it and print it off multiple times and play around with colors that way. But I just figured Photoshop would be quicker, and that would also make it easier to play around with backgrounds. So yeah, I decided to add flowers around the base of the hand because I felt like my original design didn't really have enough flowers to it. Because when it says he's wearing flowers, you could go extreme and have giant flowers that make up the outfit. But I decided I really wanted to emphasize the gesturiness of it, and the demonic arm. So that's why the flowers aren't as prominently featured. But I thought it'd be neat to have them at the base of the hand and a couple on the hand as well. It's almost like the hand is this almost plant-like organism, but it's not, because I did veins on it, so it could be sort of like a living creature's veins, or it could be kind of like roots and knots and branches of a plant, of a tree or something like that. So I kind of liked how it could be two things at once. And then, of course, there's that big evil eye in the hand. So, yeah, that is my finished picture. I hope you like it. I thought it was kind of fun to show you both of them and two different ways to tackle this piece. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Like, I'm trying to find pictures of what I want. I want, like, here's was the first picture I found. I want something like this, but with an adult. So the closest thing I found is this. I can just kind of flip the image, and it's not really accurate.
Nowa princesa o intensywnym smaku amerykańskiego brown.
Hey everyone! So we all know the struggle of when you sit down to draw and you just have no idea what to draw that day. These are just fun little exercises to get your creative juices flowing, just to get your brain in that art mindset so you can then go past that to create whatever it is you end up creating for the day. So without further ado, here are my suggestions. Are you sniffing my lip gloss? Oh, baby. So my first suggestion is to do studies, and that could be an anatomy study, a color study, studies of other people's art, anything like that, where you are essentially copying for the sake of learning. What's nice about studies is that not only is it just a little exercise to get your brain in the creative mood,